welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. Again, my name is Jeffrey Davis, and I remind our listeners that we stream live nightly on moneymattersboston.com. Love that internet. But we're also heard on our 3 radio affiliates, WBNW 1120, WPLM 1390, and WESO 970. And our next guests are Steve Wendel and John Sorel of executive managing director and managing director of the Berkeley Point Capital. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great. Oh, 2 at once. I like the stereo. First, why don't you tell us about Berkeley Point Capital?
Sure. I'm Steve Wendel, as Jeff said, Executive Managing Director of Berkeley Point Capital in Boston. Berkeley Point provides financing to owners of conventional apartment buildings, student housing, and seniors housing across the United States. Today we're going to talk mainly about seniors housing, and most of the seniors housing transactions we work on include healthcare components that address the changing needs of seniors residents in retirement. In any given year, we provide owners of multifamily and seniors housing with $3 billion to $5 billion of debt to fund their housing needs. We act primarily as a direct lender representing Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA. The loans we originate, in turn, provide guaranteed investments for institutional investors across the nation in the form of mortgage-backed securities. Thus, our work involves properly underwriting the real estate when we originate the loans and then servicing the investor and borrowers over the term of the loan, which is typically 10 years or more. John's going to talk a little bit about that later. We like to think our advantage versus other lenders is how we integrate our origination and asset management teams to provide great service over the life of the loan to our borrower clients, as well as to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and our investor clients. This integration defines what service means to us, a seamless coordination of client and asset management for the entire term of the investment. At Berkeley Point, we currently service and asset management a portfolio of over 2,200 loans, representing almost 500,000 apartment and seniors housing units across the country, a portfolio that's now worth over $27 billion for our clients.
You know, I'm a baby boomer, and it's the largest growing segment of the population. I just think it must be overwhelming for you to deal with that segment.
What's an interesting fact is that the baby boom, of course, really started about 9 years after World War II ended, so in the summer of 1946. And we'll talk a little bit about this later, but we're really on the front edge of the baby boom as it comes to seniors housing. The real extrapolation of the seniors housing population is actually still in front of us. But yes, it is a challenge both for in the housing arena as well as really in the entire government sort of financing of seniors' needs across the country.
Now, John, I hear a lot of talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Is this influencing the market and how you do business?
It is. I mean, there's a common misconception out there that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac only do single-family housing. They actually have a long, proud history of doing multifamily housing, including healthcare. Fannie and Freddie have a mission to meet their have a mission to.
Yes, keep going.
Fannie and Freddie have a mission to meet affordable goals and to assist in this type of housing. They are part of their mandate is to be in marketplaces where there isn't other financing readily available, and to finance the type of properties that we're talking about that are not always eligible for more conventional financing. Everybody is kind of waiting to see what Washington's going to do with restructuring these entities since they were placed into conservatorship, but they've been very, very active since 2006, 2007, filling a need in the market that private capital wasn't able to meet. And while they are backing away a little bit at this point, other forms of capital have come into the market, and our clients are seeing that change in the form of us as a company bringing new and different products into the market, and including CMBS and life insurance products for our client base.
Is asset management changing the way you're servicing your clients?
Asset management is where the rubber hits the road. It's the long-term relationship part of our business, and one of our real strengths is that we asset manage and service all of the loans that we originate, and that's usually for at least 10 years or so. So as anybody who's ever had a home mortgage can tell you that where sort of service after the sale is really quite important. Being able to get somebody on the phone, be responsive to your needs, somebody that understands the relationship and understands the product. We are the people that solve the problems, and there are always problems over a 10-year relationship.
Are there issues around borrowers and investors that need to be dealt with?
There are lots of issues around borrowers and investors. Everything from getting your taxes paid on time, or dealing with insurance requirements of the loan, or dealing with things like eminent domain. That's where a good servicer and having a long-term relationship really matters. Being able to interact between the borrower and the investor that holds the loan.
So how do you see what's your outlook for the future?
I think this is Steve Wendel. I think I'll go back a little bit to the past and then talk about the future. As of 2010, which is essentially today, about 6% of the population, or 19 million people, are aged 75 years or older. And that's really the target market for seniors housing. While people focus on age 65 and over, the average age at entrance to a seniors housing facility is now up to 80 or 81 years old. So really our target market is the 75 years or older market, which, as I said, is today 19 million people. The level of seniors in this age group will continue to grow at a steady rate for the next 40 years, but after the next 10 years, it'll begin to accelerate. To put that in a daily context, 8,000 to 10,000 people every day are turning 65 years old, which is really continuing to drive demand for all types of seniors housing. Seniors housing comes in a few forms. Demand for seniors housing depends on the needs of each senior citizen. Independent living provides rental housing and meals for active senior citizens who want a community-like experience but no longer want to take on the extra burden of a single-family home. My mother-in-law, in fact, moved into an independent living facility earlier this year and is really enjoying it. The next level of care is assisted living. That provides more frail seniors with assistance in activities of daily living, such as eating, bathing, medication, and the like. Again, seniors housing providers like to give them a sense of community with very elaborate community rooms and activities, and they provide on- and off-site activities that keep the seniors as engaged as possible. Memory care facilities provide 24-hour care, similar to assisted living, but geared towards seniors with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. Again, the goal is to provide them with as much activity as they need and want in a comfortable setting. Finally, skilled nursing facilities provide intensive care for seniors who need it, either short-term stays due to recovery from issues which may have led to a hospital stay, or for longer-term health issues. I spent a fair bit of time in each type of facility. It's great to see the progress that has been made in the past 20 years and the level of care and thoughtfulness behind the design and operation of today's facilities, with both senior citizens and their families' comfort in mind. At Berkeley Point, we offer products from each of our major investors for owners of these facilities. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac focus on independent living, assisted living, and memory care properties, either fixed rate or floating rate loans. FHA has very low rate, long-term financing for assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing properties for both refinances and for new construction.
Interesting. So why did you guys start the business in the first place? What were you doing before?
I'll go first. This is Steve. I've been in the real estate finance industry since the late 1980s. And I initially, during the 1990s, financed a broad spectrum of real estate properties, from housing through self-storage, office buildings, retail, industrial facilities. But as the 90s ended and sort of I went into the next stage of my career, I really found that a focus on housing of all types seemed to be kind of a more fulfilling area of the business. You can see how the work you do lowers costs for obviously the owners of facilities, but that also allows them in turn to bring lower costs to the tenants of their facilities, both apartment dwellers as well as senior citizens. And that kind of gave my career a direction that I really enjoyed.
This is John. I tell people I'm a refugee commercial banker. I was a commercial banker in the Boston area for about 15 years, and toward the end of my commercial banking tenure, I found myself doing low-income housing tax credit financing, all kinds of different financing around the low-income housing tax credit business, and that sort of brought me to multifamily housing in general. And I spent about 10 years and that's where Steve and I originally met, actually, in New York City. I spent about 10 years in New York doing various types of housing finance and equity finance, and came back to Boston with Berkeley Point about 3 years ago.
If anybody wants to know more about Berkeley Point Capital, how would they connect with you guys and the company?
I think that you can go, everything is on the web these days, so one can go on the internet and go to www.berkpoint.com, and there's a full suite of materials, including the products we offer, who we are, the history of Berkeley Point Capital. We've been around for 25 years now in the Boston area and nationally, and I think if you go on the internet, you can find all the information you need about ourselves and the products we offer. And I think, Jeff, to finish on a question you asked before about the future, the future is going to be very interesting with regards to seniors housing. By 2030, there's going to be 72 million age 65 plus seniors, which is up from 40 million today. And in the 75 plus group, there's going to be 40 million 75 plus seniors, up from 19 million today. So the population's going to double. That's going to bring issues with regards to how America finances the needs of its retirees and its senior citizens, which we've seen a taste of the past couple of weeks with the government shutdown and debates over Obamacare. But at Berkeley Point, the area we can help is helping provide high quality, affordable, safe housing for our seniors. And it's really our mission, my mission, to help fund it, and John's mission to manage the investments for the borrowers and our institutional investors. And that's really the job that we do today, and we'll keep doing.
Thanks a lot for being on the show today, guys. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back on Radio Entrepreneurs.